When we were on break, you were talking about the jails or the lack of jails in the great state of North Carolina before the Civil War. So please share that with our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, and people, we have this idea in this country right now that we've always lived with police. There's always been police, but that's not the case. In 1868, the state of North Carolina had 0 prisons. And it wasn't until after the Civil War that the legislature decided that they needed to control these newly freed Negroes, and they mandated, the Constitution of 1868 mandated that we create state prisons. And that's when the state began to become a prison population, expanding the prison population, basically sending people back to the same plantations, renting those bodies back to the same plantation for next to nothing.
Yeah, debt peonage, they could just lock up Black folks, pull them off the streets for no reason and take away their lives, really hold them in bondage without calling it that. Because especially after the power was restored to the former slaveholders, business went back to business as usual after the federal troops pulled out. And they pulled out for political reasons, for you wanna talk about a grand bargain. They pulled out for a grand bargain and left millions of African Americans, freed people to fend for themselves and gave control back to the same slaveholders that controlled the system before. I mean, I'm glad that you bringing us up on the fact that the way that we think about the injustice system in prison and how we house people and how we treat people, that in this country for so long, that was not the case until Black people became free. And now all of a sudden, how the white power structure really felt about Black bodies manifested itself in a criminal system, a legal system, I should say, that made sure that they had places to throw Black bodies in. It is absolutely disgusting, just like what is happening on Rikers Island. So thankfully, there are activists in the streets of New York calling for vital action, just like there were activists back in the 1800s, the 1900s. You're always gonna find activists, always people who are willing to put something on the line to stand up for justice. So November the 3rd, advocates held a rally at City Hall Park demanding that Rikers is closed. 18 hours for 18 deaths and 18 mock Department of Correction body bags were lined up across the sidewalks in that protest. Organizers included the Freedom Agenda and Vocal New York and the Halt Solidarity campaign. So glad that they did that. That is coming from Amsterdam News. And I also want you to watch this video from the New York City Council member, and we're gonna play what happened during this.
So my council member colleague, Lincoln Ressler, has already said what this council is committed to doing. We are committed to absolutely shutting down Rikers Island. With the 18 lives lost to the death penalty that is Rikers Island, this is injustice.
It is.
This is causing the rippling impacts of violence, ripping apart families, ripping apart communities. And I refuse to accept that that is what New York City is about. We need to put money in mental health services and treatments, not building and expanding our jails.
Many thanks to Councilwoman Hanif for standing up, and I would love to have her on the show. And Mayor, hopefully we can have you back at that segment when we have her on as a guest so she can talk about her fight to close down Rikers Island. A new approach is really necessary in this country. That's really what this comes down to. I want you to check out this headline: how some European prisons, based on dignity instead of dehumanizing the people who are held. Prisons in Northern Europe are actually supportive, and they see lower rates of violence and recidivism. If we want to decrease recidivism rates, then we really have to make a person's time in these institutions one that really helps to rehabilitate them. The bottom line is that most people, Mayor, as we know, are not sent to prison for life. They are coming back out. In what condition do we want them to come back out? Do we want to keep putting them in situations that strip their humanity? Or do we want to put them in situations that, yes, they pay their debt to society, but also we help to edify them and lift them and to help them be better citizens when they return back to their communities? Really, the choice is ours. we are not locked into the system as it is right now. It can be a new system. Mayor, I'm with you on that. We're gonna do this again, Mayor. We will continue to talk about this. We need to do an explainer on this, and we definitely want to have Councilwoman Hanif on here to talk about her efforts